I'm Lori and this is episode 16 of the Knitting and YouTube podcast. I feel like I've gone super high tech because I spoke to my son who has some experience with video production, at least at the high school level. He's in college now. And I said, what do you think I could do to improve the quality of my recordings? So he suggested I work with a tripod. So I bought a tripod. We actually had a tripod, but I bought one because I bought the base model for about $20 on Amazon. It came with a remote, so that's good. I have my ring light going. He told me to sit in front of a solid-ish background. So hopefully this is a little better. It is Tuesday, the 8th of October, and I'm coming to you with giveaway winners, 2 finished objects, 2 works in progress. I'm going to show you a couple of my 2 pieces of pottery that I've thrown that are early works. Let's just call them. Very humbling, again, to be a beginner. I talked about that on a few episodes ago. I'm really enjoying my pottery wheel class, and I think some of my skills have improved since I got started. So at the end, at last week's episode, or the last episode, episode 15, I announced a giveaway, and I have 3 prizes and 3 prize winners. I used random comment picker just now, and since this is a fairly low-tech video, these are the winners. So you may see your name. I'm going to read them off. The teal yarn and the tote bag was the first name picked. That's going to Tina Gotti. The pink skeins, that's 2 skeins, are going to the first one is Tina Gotti, 3155. Pink skeins are going to Sandy Gripka, 9041. And the non-superwash yarn, which is a cranberry color, are going to Caroline Simon, 270. Thank you to everyone who has been subscribing and to the 139 people who left comments who were very supportive, and I appreciate that. I guess a handful of folks were approached by a scammer, and I thought I was gonna leave a comment on the winners post, and I decided against that once I realized that people were getting contacted by not me. And I did contact YouTube to try to get some advice from them, and hopefully no damage has been done. I thought my podcast is too small to get on the radar, but it probably is exactly the kind of target that these devious people try to find. So congratulations to the winners. I'm going to ask you, because we've had a scammer get involved, to please contact me either on Ravelry, preferably on Ravelry, or on Instagram with your information. And we'll get those prizes out to you. So congratulations. I am wearing one of my finished objects. This is the Oban vest. It is a pattern by Thea Colman. And I did lengthen the body a bit. I knit the second size. I blocked like underarms down. This is bothering me. I need to run a couple of stitches in here because it just didn't close up quite perfectly. I really only steam blocked the top. I might block it some more. I like the fit of the shoulders. It could be a little bit wider. It has a lot of room for stretching. I have knit this pattern. Let's see, there's a pullover, a hat, a cardigan. I've versioned it for a vest. I have not knit the pullover, but I've now knit everything else. On all the versions, I needed to size down needle size to a size 6, and I still had to meet gauge. The yarn I used is this little Precious Sheep's yarn. It is the Renninger Wool Co. Winnie Woolly Buns DK from the 2024 Harvest. I knit this for Renninger Wool Co.'s Name a Lamb make along, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I love this construction. I love how these cables kind of work their way up, and they wrap all the way around the back here. You can see, you see my yarn. I was like, oh, I'll wear this to work tomorrow. I have some ends to weave in still. I consider something done when the knitting and seaming is finished. One other adjustment I made is that I did and 3 needle bind off on the shoulders inset from the wrong side. The pattern calls for just, you know, stitching a seam together on this particular one, and I just didn't want to bother. I was lazy, I guess. What else can I tell you? I think it's going to get a lot of wear. This yarn is absolutely delicious. Jenny has a little bit more yarn left, not this particular color in her 2024 harvest on her website, but I think she has a couple of gray tones, and I think those are fingering weight. So thank you, Jenny, for running this knit along. Jenny actually donated the tote bag prize for the giveaway as well. I was going to wear both of these, but I'd be a little warm. So my second finished object is the Smoldering Embers, which is a pullover, a colorwork yoke pullover. It has colorwork also on the sleeves. This is blocked fully. It has a little bit of colorwork here, and it has this beautiful colorwork yoke. So the main color, this gray, which is a bluish gray, is Juniper Moon Farm Patagonia, and the colorway is called Pebble, I think. I feel like yes, Pebble. The yardage on this is fabulous. I know I've shared that before. 382 yards for 100 grams. It's a sport weight sweater, a sport weight design. This pattern is designed by Debra Gerhard. She has some spectacular patterns. Several other colorwork patterns. She recently released one that was highlighted. I think she recently released it, but it was one of her patterns was recently highlighted in Viking Yarn Co.'s latest yarn collection. So I saw her. You can find her on Instagram as Spruce Lane Designs. Let's see. This, I definitely was large on gauge. It blocked out much larger. I have plenty of ease here, and I have plenty of yarn left over. I had 3 skeins of this, and I have 1.5. This only took 1.5 skeins. I know my gauge was running larger than hers. I've knit this mostly on a size 4 needle. The stockinette, I sized up for the colorwork sections, and I didn't want to knit a sweater on a size 3 needle. I feel like I'm kind of over that right now. So I was fine to have, it's a little more drapey and oversized compared to some of my other sweaters, and I'm good with that. The pattern calls for shaping in the body. I skipped that. It does call for tipping the edges of the cuffs and the neckline and the body. You can see I still have some to weave in. One thing I did, and I talked about this also on my prior episode, is this motif, this colorwork motif, is very refined, meaning most of it is 1 stitch, 2 stitches at a time. It isn't large blocks of colorwork. And I was finding with the color changing yarn, which is from Yarn Hero, so the gray is Patagonia, the color changing yarn is Yarn Hero Merge Sport. I was finding the sections of the color changing yarn, which is barber poled, where those 2 colors were similar, was fine to work with. Didn't overwhelm the colorwork motif. I was finding where the barber pulling was 2 colors were very much in contrast, that it overwhelmed the motif. So I did do quite a bit of color management, meaning I cut the yarn here and there to try to keep it to more consistent colors. On the sleeves, I had less to work with. I think it turned out fine. I think one sleeve goes from a lighter pink to purple and the other goes from purple to pink. It's a little, you can kind of see, it's a little muddier to see that motif. At least I think so. But I'm super happy with it. I think it's a beautiful design. I would absolutely knit Debra's pattern again. What else? It's a little warm still to wear this, but winter is coming. So again, Smoldering Embers. All right, those are the 2 finishes that I have. I'm going to interrupt this just to mention I'm apologizing here and now. I feel like every time I watch a YouTube video these days, it's chock full of commercials. And not just one, but like there are at least 2 in succession. So if you're getting a lot of that, I'm very sorry. I also feel like maybe that's a sign that I should keep podcasts to a little bit shorter in length. I don't usually time myself, admittedly. I just talk to you, and when I'm done, I'm done. On to the works in progress. So I have 2 works in progress. This, I believe, was in progress the last time. This is a Stripy unicorn. This has not been blocked, so the bottom is just folding up a bit here. This is a pattern by Locatelli. It needs sleeves. I decided not to knit the sleeves because, well, I would knit these one at a time. It's a single row of each, of alternating a solid with a color changing yarn. And it has interesting, let's see, increases in the yoke. You can kind of see them faintly sort of emanating down here from the collar on. She designed and released this, I think, a year ago, and I decided then I was going to knit it. And I chose this, I don't know, I put up an Instagram post. I don't wear a lot of rainbows, but this doesn't really bother me, although it looks very, very rainbowy here. This doesn't bother me. I was considering if it bothered me. Now there are these funky stitches here. These are the short rows, and I'm told by some friends who have knit this that they will spread out a bit more as you block. I have to do, there is no way around having some of this happen. Even in Hohi's pattern, which she used a light color with her color changing yarn. She used like a cream white that probably shows up a lot less. So I'm having fun with this. I'm knitting this for her Hohi's annual fall knit along, and which ends in November. So as much as I was hoping to finish 2 sweaters in September, I'm halfway with this one or more or so, and the other one finished, and this finished too. And I had some extra things anyway, and I'm not setting deadlines, even though I try, my head goes there. So that's Stripy Unicorn. These yarns I am absolutely loving working with. So this color changing yarn is the same as brand. It's the Yarn Hero Merge Sport. The color is called Glowworm. So that's the same as the sweater, the finished sweater I just showed you. This navy blue is Ewetopia Ridge Sport. I love this. The color is called Indigo. I love this base. Give me more. It is non-superwash from Midwestern Sheep. So here's the band for this. I don't have any bands for the Yarn Hero because they're all seconds, but it's Ewetopia Ridge Sport. And the color is called Indigo. I bought this at New York Sheep and Wool last year. I had the color changing yarn, so I brought a skein with me just to try to compare. And this has a really nice put up, I think, what does it say? 304 yards. I have 3 skeins of this to work with. I'm working through my second skein of each of them. I have 4 skeins total of the color changing yarn. So that, I'm not going to use all of that. I think I'll need this too. And then I'll probably need maybe a little bit more of this blue. So I'll have some left. I'm tempted to put it in a colorworks, like a typical colorwork sweater, although I don't think I need too many more of those. So I have to think about that. My other work in progress is a new cast on, and it is called Montrose. Let's see. I don't have too much of the yoke done here, so I'm just gonna hold it so that you can try and see some of the motif right here. So what's new to me is this type of embroidered, like front stranding where you hold the yarn in the front of your work. It's a little early for me to show you. It's a top-down colorwork sweater. This is the back. Oh, rolled neck seems like a theme lately. And I am using this cream yarn, this camel colored yarn, which is wool and alpaca blend from Twist of Fate Spinnery. they're at Portland, Connecticut. They are a mill, but often they'll go to shows. They produce yarn for many farms, but they also will produce some of their own. And they either produce 100% wool or a blend. Usually it's 50-50 wool and alpaca, which is what this is. And I fell in love with this color, didn't know what I was going to work it into. And then I found this gorgeous dark red. So I have one skein of this and quite a few skeins. I'm just looking for my tag. I don't know where I put it. This red is from Galler Yarns. And the base, it is a deep, deep red. It's probably right. Here it is. Ta-da! So Galler Yarns. I purchased this summer at Yarn Farm Kingston in Kingston, New York, which if you are going to New York Sheep and Wool, definitely stop at their shop. It is magical. They have food. They have a bar. Yes, like they serve wine while you're shopping for yarn. So I purchased one souvenir skein, and then I realized these were going to be amazing together. So this is sport weight pattern. The designer is Sophie. I don't know if it's Lucente or Lucente. And the funny thing is, when the pattern came out, my friend Isabel, who also has a YouTube channel, Isabel Duchatel, I think, she's from France. Definitely go check out her podcast. You probably already are. But she had seen this beautiful pattern, and she put it on her community boards and said, the designer is offering it for free in the first week, I don't know what she did. So I downloaded it, and thought, oh, that could be a good pattern for these two yarns. So this is one of my October sweater cast-ons. I haven't cast on the second one yet, but it is my third sport weight end of year sweater, third of four. And I'm just loving, I feel like the color combination is very classic. The gauge, I'm knitting at a larger gauge, so I sized down compared to the pattern. It has a scalloped hem, which is also in this contrast color. So it has some color work up top, and then a solid camel body, and then the red comes in again at the scalloped edge. I'm not sure if I'm going to knit that in the red. I might just do that in the camel. We shall see. So after I had downloaded the pattern, the designer contacted me and said, I'd like to gift you the pattern, like a month or so later. And I said, I'm about to cast on. I already have it. We have been in touch, though, because there are some ways that she's designed it that I wasn't quite getting. And she's been lovely in helping me. If you decide to cast this pattern on, feel free to message me. She's done some great videos that are helpful. I kind of did a few things a little differently, and it helped me. So I'm glad to help you if something helped me. So let's see. I have my needles are actually, I'm breaking one of my own cardinal rules and showing you something in the middle of a row, but it's circular, so there's no middle. Well, there's a beginning and end, I guess. But this is about 2/3 of the yoke right here. So I have about 40 rounds still to go. But it's coming along. I'm enjoying that knit quite a bit. I also cast on for the Westknits 2024 Mystery Knit Along called Go Dynamo, but I am not going to show you that today. He's only released one clue. I am still in the middle of that clue, and I just feel like if you're in the middle or you want to keep the mystery and you haven't gotten started, I just decided I'll get a little further along in that project. He does say he asks you to put like a spoiler, which I could give you a warning, so maybe I will. But again, that is currently on the needles and in the works. So, and if I had a finished clue one, maybe I would show you, but I'm not going to show you that today. I am going to show you a couple of pieces of pottery. And these are earlier works, as I mentioned at the start. So I am taking a ceramics class at my local adult ed offering, which happens to, I work in our local high school, and so the class happens actually in the school where I work on that equipment, but it is not taught by a classroom teacher, and I don't run into people I work with. I just happen to drive back to work in the evening once a week to work with clay. And it has brought me a lot of joy and curiosity to be a beginner at a new craft, and it's challenging. So I have taken, and our teacher is very generous. It's run like an open studio, and there is just so much to learn. And it's not as though I've gone into this class saying, okay, I want to make X or I want to make Y. And to be honest, I've also just been more recently throwing out not all, I have saved a few, but like of my kids' grade school pottery creations, that I don't need a lot more of my own pottery creations the same way, unless they serve more of a utilitarian function or there's something I'm happy to give as a gift. So there are certainly some ceramicists I follow. There is one ceramicist who is out of Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts, where my mom lives. I have over time collected quite a few of his pieces, which we use as everyday bowls, that we do not hold anything precious. But I've collected from him for the past 15 or more years. I cannot recreate exactly what he does because one, he's been doing it a long time and he's too good, and two, he works with similar stoneware clay, but his glazing style is completely different than what we're doing at continuing education. So I was just playing. I do follow some other potters or ceramicists on Instagram. I was just playing around with the glaze on this one. I'm really working on some of the basic techniques, like centering my clay on the wheel, trying to get my sides of my work even. So I have posted a few pictures of more recent work that I'm really happy with. The sides are even, they're quite well centered. I'm happy. I'm really excited with that. But these are some earlier work. But it was worthy of keeping. I throw a lot away. It's not worth bringing home and just firing and using materials that are just gonna throw away eventually. So this is a little pot that I made. It is not at all even. I'm just being very honest here. And I had tried to carve something in the clay. I didn't carve it deep enough. There are so many aspects to the different stages. So really I'm focusing on the piece I create on the wheel more than the glazing, the finishing afterwards. But of course, if something I'm gonna keep, I need to glaze it. So this is an example of something that I did a very good job centering. I did not do a good job pulling up the sides. Not at all. Todd was like, well, is this for pouring? What are we gonna do with this? And then someone suggested we use it to rest like a chilled bottle of wine in because it could hold, it's that base. I wanted to really experiment with the glaze and layer two different colors together. So this is actually a brown and a lemon together, and it created a lot of blues. So I think that's super interesting. I'm really interested in this kind of layering of glaze colors. So we'll see. And if you're a local friend, maybe you'll be receiving gifts of pottery someday, because I can only have so much that I need in my own home. So that's part of the knitting and the and piece. The other pieces I have completely fallen apart with my reading goal for the year, which was to read a book a year, which doesn't mean I haven't read. We're in the 10th month. I think I've read 10 books, maybe 9. I kind of fell apart towards the end of the summer, wasn't very interested in what I had chosen to read. The school where I work the library has a monthly challenge. I chose a book that I just wasn't into. So I could use book recommendations. I don't like to read chick flick type books, beach reads. It's just not something that speaks to me. I do enjoy historical fiction. I do enjoy fantasy. I have read some of the recent Rebecca Yarros. Well, it's the first and the second. The third is coming out. I think it's January. Like Fourth Wing and the sequel. So if you have any recommendations, please, by all means, I'm totally up for them. Mystery, a little. I don't read horror. I try to read, truth be told, I try to read and knit, and I will have some knitting where I can do that, and I enjoy that. But sometimes I just want to read, and I do like to read a book. I don't feel like I get the same experience personally listening to a story. So yeah, historical fiction, biography. I read a biography this summer that I really did enjoy. I tend to share what I've read, but I haven't had anything to share because I just haven't finished anything. So if you have any suggestions, please, I'm game. All right, it was good to catch up with you. And remember, you can find me as Yarn Love Turtle on YouTube, Instagram, Ravelry. I do not post anything as knitting and ... If you've been contacted by knitting and, that is not me. That is a scammer. It does have my picture on it, and I'm really sorry that happened. I have learned, and hopefully we can move forward with more fun giveaways because I love doing them. But keep everybody safe and secure. Take care.